a really interesting episode in terms of just seeing the experts do what the experts do. Has it helped us to kind of see where we're at by seeing basically how everyone else is. Like he's told you where he's at. Like he made a public debacle of that yesterday at the dinner party. He had to go and walk in on his own. And then she just rocks up like she's had 3 weeks in Bali, like just chilling, just like, hi, miss me. Like, and him saying that she plays that at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's got to be love. It's got to be. Like she really fancies me. But I don't fancy her, you know. And even the way he's talking about it, yeah. Paul was like, yeah, but she's your wife and you've already slept together. So, and then everyone in the room was like, Polly, I'm gonna need you to sit up strong, yeah, and take your hand off of him. She was draped on him, like stroking his shoulder. Uh, have we seen the same shame that you've seen? Well, what gone, people, them. So this actually was a really interesting episode in terms of just seeing the experts do what the experts do. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's probably been a few of us, because I've had a quick read on Twitter and stuff to kind of just, because I hadn't really been looking at what the people had thought about the show at all. So it's quite interesting just to see what people were saying on Twitter. And I think there's been a few of us that have had the same mentality of what are the experts, how are the experts putting these people together, like why? There's quite a few takeaways for me. Some that I've as maybe made me think a little bit differently than when I first, than my last reaction, and some that has like deepened even further. And I would borderline say that there were some people that I genuinely haven't, and it's a really weird feeling, isn't it, that there are people that you have never met, that you just know that you are just not the kind of person that I would ever talk to, would want anywhere near me, anywhere near me. So everyone's kind of talking about the dinner party at first in their own respective apartments. People are commenting about, Alex and Holly being pretty toxic, really. But what I do think is really nice, I mean, maybe it's just for the cameras, I don't know, but it does appear that everyone is still rooting for them and hopes that like they can sort themselves out and stuff, which I think is really cool. I thought was really nice as well that they were getting some moments of being able to, like Lacey and Nathan were like, has it helped us to kind of see where we're at by seeing basically how everyone else is, and I think that was really nice as well, that again they can just be like quite playful and be best mates, is what they're saying. So I think that's really cool to see that from them. Emma and Casper, because Emma is still seems quite upbeat, like, or at least pleasant, and Casper, even at that point, still felt very like, we need to get some answers from these experts. We can't move any further forward without knowing what the next stepping stone is going to be. So, so I thought from that, I'm like, okay, cool. You really are indignant on needing to speak to them. Conversely, looking at Adam and Holly, he is quite blasé still about how the dinner party went. And, a few arguments, even me and you had a bit of a to-do. Instead of being like, I'm so sorry that you were upset yesterday. I guess some of my comments can be quite insensitive, and I'm not thinking, like, just any level of emotional intelligence and awareness, but just zero, none. Again, reiterating that, like, I'd love to fancy her. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to fancy her, like, but, obviously I don't, and, and it'd be love, sitting all these other couples who, like, fancy each other and stuff, and I'd love to say that, but I can't. And, and she, again, Polly again is like, yeah, there's one thing I can't change, and, I'm still really wanting to see where his head is at, hoping that the experts can help with that. And as I said, man, my frustration is building with her, because I'm like, and not because, like, it's not her fault, like, it's not her fault that he is allowing her to feel like that, if that makes sense. But at the same time, like, at what point do you then say, and again, maybe it's a trauma thing and she doesn't have the tools in which to do it, I don't know, but you're talking about like getting the experts to kind of get in his head and see where he's at, but like he's told you where he's at, like he made a public debacle of that yesterday, like, so like at what point does your shame kick in to say, you know what, like, yeah, I'm not saying to be frosty or whatever, because it takes more from you to be nasty, but like, I wouldn't be going in there with, I want to see where his head's at. I'd be like, look, I'm being shown quite clearly that I'm not for him, and he's not doing anything to move this forward in any kind of romantic way. So I need some support from the experts to see why I should stay. That's what I would expect him to hear. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to getting in his head, but whatever. Then Orson gets a nice surprise on the door because Rochelle's back. When I was talking about Rochelle leaving, I laughed about the fact that she left him on the honeymoon. But I didn't laugh about the fact that she'd done that, because obviously that isn't funny. I laughed because I was like, it's just so bad mind and cold. This is why I was saying that it was just such a shambles. The show was like a shambles. I'm just like, who does that? Who just gets up and leaves someone on holiday, doesn't say nothing, doesn't let them know they're coming to the commitment, the dinner party, had to go and walk in on his own, and then she just rocks up like she's had 3 weeks in Bali, like just chilling, just like, hi, miss me. Like, and I think watching how much he genuinely missed her, it did really hit me. I was like, wow, like there's some real emotions here. Now look, it's been because I thought it'd been longer than a week. I thought they got married, and then there'd been a few days, and then they went to honeymoon for like a week or something, and then they come back, and so maybe like a couple of weeks or whatever. So to know that from the wedding, the honeymoon, dinner party, commitment ceremony, all of that is within 1 week. I'm like, bro, I don't understand still how you can have formulated feelings that deep and that quickly in that time frame. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So as much as it was quite moving, and to see that he was like, I've prayed, I've missed her so much, and I'm like, so I can kind of appreciate a little bit as to where her cynicism is coming from, because I'm just like, well, what do you know about me enough to miss? I mean, she did say that she liked him, which is good, but I'm still just like, I don't understand that. Like, I'd get it if you guys were in a really good place, and like you've been in a really good place, and you've been in this part, like, when you look at, say, Ross and Sasha, like, and again, they're cool, they're vibes, and they've just got on and hit it off from the get go. Same Kieran and Christine. You've there hasn't been any big ruptures or anything like that, but even then, I still couldn't imagine being like, I'm in love with this person. Neither one of them have said that. So I think that's, again, another point to make, that even when things are going good, like, you don't necessarily need to be the first one to drop the album. Anyway, Charlie and Eve, they're still not in the same apartment, but they had a great night at the dinner party, and they're actually excited to go to, I say excited, but I think they're looking forward to at least getting in front of the experts. I know that Charlie's hoping that Eve will then move into the apartment, because she said, we need to wait until we see the experts. Eve's like, we had a great night last night, it was 10-10, but realistically, I haven't forgotten everything that's happened, so we do need that input from the experts. And then Alex and Holly, they're in separate apartments, aren't they? So they've also, like, they're not in a good space. So I think that's everybody in it. So commitment ceremony comes then, and first one's up, Christine and Kieran. What's really interesting about them two? Yeah, so they pretty much were like perfection, to the point where the experts are like, well, what do you need support with? Because they were just like, we hit it up from the get-go. The connection was just so good. Our honeymoon was amazing. Like, he was complimenting her, she was complimenting him. She said in front of everyone about his 6-foot personality. He loves the 6 a.m. Rave tunes. I'll be honest, yeah, you said the happy hardcore music. Like, there's not many genres of music that I can't stand. Like, there's very, very, very few. Like, death metal, it's I'm still trying to give it like a little bit of a, because I've got a reaction channel. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to be open to at least trying to react to that again. But I just oh god, it was awful. It was awful to me. It was awful to me. And that happy hardcore, And don't get me wrong, I love my beats, I love my bass line, I love my dubstep, I love my house, I'm a tribal. Like, I love music. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there's something about that happy hardcore, that relentless, and him saying that she plays that at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's got to be love. It's got to be one or two things. He's either not being completely truthful about that. Jury's still out, but or he genuinely just loves her enough that he'll put up with that, because that it's like a siren. It's like a siren to your temple. They're all like happy and stuff, but when it shows a highlight of next week's episode with the expert questions or whatever they are, and she's like, you know, do you think I'm too much for you? And he's like, sometimes. And I feel vindicated because I remember thinking when they were getting married, bearing in mind that he's the loud one, I was like, I wonder if he's gonna think that she's too loud, because she's like, because I remember in that first episode, when it aired and everyone was talking and stuff, and obviously the girls were talking because they'd met for the first time. I remember thinking, why, yeah, my old biggie. Do you know what I mean? But after that, she really grew on me. Like, I'm watching her get married and stuff, and you know, she really grew on me as a person. I thought, oh, actually, she's just a really kind-hearted girl. But I did think, I wonder if she'll be too loud for him. So it's really interesting that he said yes. Sometimes, anyway, sometimes. But yeah, they're all good. Then it goes to, oh, it's Polly and Adam. I rate the fact, yeah, that they really didn't let up off Adam's neck, really. Like Mel said, she's like, I'm going to go cut through the BS, yeah, let's go straight to the point. So, is this person your usual type? What is your usual type? And he's like, you know, no, she's not your usual type, but I'm not that attracted to her. She fancies me. Do you know what I mean? Like, she fancies me. Like, she really fancies me. But I don't fancy her, you know? And even the way he's talking about it, yeah. And I think this is the reason why, because again, Twitter is going off. Like, I've actually screenshotted some, which I'll pop on the screen in a sec. But like, you know, and look, I'm not looking to body shame, fat shame. Like, you know, I don't want to come for someone's physical characteristics, but what I will say is, and I've said it in all my other reactions as well, yeah, it is highly hypocritical for you to sit down there and point fingers about perfection, and like, because I think he even said, like, he had like a gotcha moment, like, I'm not perfect, yeah, but I know that I will be perfect for someone, and I want that person who's perfect for me. And yet his idea of perfection is this brunette, petite, tanned person. Like, have you ever met a more superficial set of characteristics as that? Like, I'm not doubting that physical attraction is important. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that. Like, none of us walk around with our eyes closed. If Herman Munster was gonna tap you on the shoulder to be like, "Excuse me, do you want to go on a date?" You'd probably say no. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, attraction, there is an important thing for that. But you have entered into a competition where you're gonna marry someone at first sight. So you must already know that attraction, like, yes, you put on there what you like, but the experts are not just going to look at that. I mean, they're going to look at lots of different things to make up your perfect person. And if you're so against the ideal because you've got this burned into your head as to, like, this is it, then what you're doing on the show, go out there and find her. Do you know what I mean? Go out there and find it. This is who you've been presented with, all right? If she's not good enough for you and she doesn't reach the standards that you're looking for, then take yourself off the show. I don't understand. But I'll come back to that point in a minute. So anyway, they then like lay into him. And what was really upsetting is that Polly was getting upset. And I could see all the other girls and even the guys as well, like, just feeling really sad for her. You know, because she's like, you know, I'm not gonna beg for it. You know, I'm not here to beg nobody for nothing. If they don't want to already, then I don't want it. He was like, oh, you know, I don't want to do any of those affectionate things because I don't want to lead her on. Like, I don't want to give her the wrong message. And Paul was like, yeah, but she's your wife and you've already slept together, so. And then everyone in the room was like, what? I'm like, you see, you look a British, so you didn't tell people you slept together then? What, were you ashamed? Do you think people would judge you because actually you're saying one thing and doing another? For me, I think Polly's really attractive. I think she's an attractive girl. I understand that people will have a preference for things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And, you know, I'll never get on here and say that, you know, it's right for someone to make someone feel bad about what they look like, their size. Like, I don't think that's fair. But I also do think there has to be room for people to say, look, at the same time, like, as much as in theory, you're absolutely right, like, you know, everyone should be loved for who they are on the inside and what they exhibit. Sometimes when it comes to, like, sexual activity, Like, you need to have that thing that makes you go, oh yeah, like I want. And for some people, that can grow from that emotional. Well, I think that for long-standing relationships, that it has to grow from just that anyway. But I feel like when you've just met someone and you've not had much time to really get to know them and all that kind of stuff, like a lot of what you go off is physical. And I rate Paul as well, because he was like, do you realize that the only people that and this was when he was talking about Casper, oh, actually he was talking about Adam. It was Casper, but still, it's like the only people that start looking as to why people match it is the people that are not physically attracted to them. Because if you're physically attracted to them, you start looking at all the other reasons why you match. Oh yeah, and you like dog. I like dog. Oh, I love pizza. Do you love pizza? Ah, you're so fit. Like, they're not asking no other questions after that. Do you know what I mean? Because they're just you fit and I want you. But you see, when you're someone who don't look like the usual because they're a little bit bigger or a little bit paler or their foot's too big or whatever, like, as much as I'm trying to dance around it, because I don't think I'm shallow, but I also do know that, like, having an attraction is important to me as well. And if I felt as strongly about a physical, because everyone's different at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? Like, and we can all sit here and we can all, like, be holier than thou and sit on our pedestals and be like, well, actually what you should do. But when you're met with someone that you're just not into, what do you do? What do you do? I think for me, he has not handled himself very well in this situation at all, and he hasn't given Polly the respect that she deserves, because he is too into himself and his expectant self as to what he should be getting. And like, when he listed off his ideal type or whatever, like, he didn't list anything about attributes that she does possess. It's just all the things she just absolutely isn't. Yeah, I don't rate him. I do rate the experts for kind of pummeling him a little bit. I think they should have brought up the scale. They didn't bring that up. I'm quite disappointed they didn't bring that up, because that was horrible and that made her cry. But what I don't get, bro, why did you and your fringe not go home? If you're that indignant that this curvy, pale ginger gal is not your girl, yeah, that if this is not your girl, why would you write stay? Why would you write stay? Unless you're begging the TV time. Do you know what I mean? And that, to me, like, it's just an open and shut case as to why you are probably my most revered person on this show. Like, I just don't like. Ugh. Again, I don't know him personally. Do you know what I mean? So I can only go off what I'm seeing. I'm just unaware. That's the thing I don't understand. Like, he didn't comfort her once. She was crying on that sofa, and not once did he say, babe, or put his arm. Nothing. And you could tell he felt shame when Paul brought up about the sleeping, but you could tell he felt shame. He's like, I didn't think you knew that. Honestly. But what I will say, though, and I said it in my last reaction, Polly, I'm going to need you to sit up strong, yeah, and take your hand off of him. Like, why did you... She was draped on and, like, stroking his shoulder. Have we seen the same shame that you've seen? Whose shoulder are you rubbing? Listen, I understand that trauma can make you do funny things, and sometimes when you're caught up in something you don't even realise. But fam, like, from the time you're asking him how he feels, from the time he's made up games about you in front of other people, he sat off a breakfast and was telling you just, I just wish I could fancy you, but I don't. Like, and he sat on the big expert couch after being out with it, he slept with you, and he's still like, yeah, I don't really want to, And after all that, you don't have even the ounces, winces, little bit to be like, you're gonna stop over there. Just a little piece, at least for today, at least for right now. Why are you massaging this? Anyway, Polly and Adam. Then it goes to Orson and Rochelle, and I don't think they really drilled her hard enough. I mean, Mel did by the end, to be like, you're either in or you're out. And I loved how she was like, she didn't make mince no words, because Rochelle was about to be like, all the lights and the camera angles and the people and all the... Do you know that you signed up for a TV show? Do you know on a TV show they've got cameras and TV sets and people that sit behind the camera? What do you apply for? Like, she is a shrewd woman. She's a shrewd woman that's gone to business for herself, yeah, and she's very unforgiving of fools. You know, she don't forgive fools wisely at all. So what's all the noise about the TV sets and whatever? Like you, what did you think? And I get there's probably an adjustment. I probably, you know, and there probably is a lot of invasiveness that people are around you all the time, and that probably does get some getting used to. But yeah, cop out really, because even if you needed to leave, why couldn't you say to Orson, look, I just need a couple of days, I'll holler you in a bit, like I will be at the day. Like, you didn't communicate nothing, you just offed and left. She did apologise, but even then, when they were like, you know, talking about what she's got reservations about, again she's like, I'm not sure as to what, you know, his feelings and him getting feels and stuff. And I still do back her a little bit, in the sense that when she said to him, you don't ask me nothing. Have you ever been, my friend actually went on a date recently, and she was saying that, like, you know, they didn't ask me anything. They literally, cause, you know, they're quite an inquisitive person and stuff, and so, you know, they will ask questions. So, you know, they found out a lot about him. He didn't ask her nothing the entire day. Like, and I can imagine if you're as shrewd as Rochelle is, like, you know, she knows all about this relationship and all the stuff that she's probably asked questions about, you know, because she is the Riddler. But if he hasn't then demonstrated the same thing, it's like, well, what on earth is it that you're feeling about me apart from what you're physically presented with? You don't know me. You know, so I do kind of understand that a little bit as to where she's kind of got that from. But look, they've both decided to stay, so, you know, we can't. There's not really much else I can really say. You know, as Orson seems like a really warm person, and that hasn't changed. But let's see how that pans out. Eve and Charlie, I'm so glad that I did have a little peruse on Twitter, because it's just interesting, because the only person I talked to, aside from, you know, my camera and whoever's watching, and my best mate, who actually may be joining me on one of the Married at First Sight reactions and stuff, because he used to react to it last year. I came down pretty hard on Charlie. I was like, you know, I think Charlie just, I laid a lot of blame at her door, but a lot of people online are very much just like, nah, like, it's gaslighting. Eve is the one who is now apparently making herself look like the victim. So when they got in the couch and stuff, it wasn't very long before Eve broke down, and my interpretation of that was obviously very different to Twitter's, because I was like, even though she's got this masculine energy, I feel as though that she's very emotional. If she truly demonstrated all of that masculine energy, and she was this kind of, like, you know, master manipulator, because what people are saying is the fact that she slept with Charlie and then left and just kept leaving and stuff, but kept having, like, sleeping with her and stuff, it's like, well, you're having your cake and eating it too, and leaving this person emotionally in limbo. But if she was this puppeteer and all that kind of stuff, like, I think she would also, like, give as good as she gets in terms of these arguments and stuff. And unless it's just really good editing, the majority of the time that I've seen them argue, like, she'll say something, yes, but she's not the one, like, kicking and screaming and stuff. That's Charlie. And whilst I appreciate that there's two different types of ways to deal with stuff, like, I don't think it's fair to just say that Eve is a manipulator. To Charlie's own admission, yeah, and I do feel, actually, watching her talk about, like, her abandonment with her dad, the old Charlie that was lonely and rejected, I can even see how she's fallen into those old tropes of behaviour, because she was like, you know, every time I'm trying to talk to you, like, you don't respect anything that I'm saying, and it's like, you've known this person a week, so for you to say always, you're always doing, you never did it, it's like you haven't got the time, you haven't got the stock in the bank to say that. But if you're falling into old habits and on old behaviours, that would make sense. So I've got a lot more empathy with Charlie than maybe I did before. Because I was telling my friend, I can't get over the fact that she banged down the door in Mexico. I just can't get over that. But I think, as I said before, I do think Eve leaving, like Paul called out, you know, isn't also healthy, and I do think that's something she needs to be aware of. But I think if you do have that kind of rejection anxiety and whatever, and you then become quite a needy person, and obviously they said from the very beginning that one of their biggest issues is going to be pace. Eve likes to take her time, like she doesn't really, like she's not all up in there with the feelings straight away and stuff. Charlie on the other hand is very, very quick. She's already said how much she feels for her. She's already told her, I've fallen for you, like, and that's a lot of pressure for someone. And even you've got to think they've got a physical attraction, which is very different to an Adam and Polly. But I thought that's not the same, because they've never had an issue being physical like that. If anything, that is the problem, because they are attracted to each other, but their communication styles are different, and they're very different in terms of how they approach things in that kind of way, like their pacing and stuff. It's at a loggerhead. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not as upset with Eve for like having those relations with her, because they both are attracted to one another. But I do feel like it's difficult to justify you wanting to slow down if you are sleeping together all the time. Like that you just need not to do that. But then it also means then that Charlie needs not to ask for that. Do you remember that clip where they were in the pool and she's like, right, so we'll have dinner and then we'll basically get into bed again, did it? And it's just like your plans already set out about how you want to ravage me, like, and I don't want to make you feel bad, but I just need space. Like, I can understand, and then it becomes a cyclical thing, because you've now had space, she feels rejected, she's getting vexed about it, but you now don't want to come back and talk about it because you are vexed, and whatever, then when you do talk about it, you're still vexed about it, and you haven't really dealt with it either, because you now think she's angry still, but then you sleep together, and it hasn't really ended, you're still feeling smothered, you leave, and it just... I don't blame Eve as much as everyone else does. I still don't. But the fact that they both won't stay, let's see. Well, we do see like that in the next episode that they're like, I don't think we're healthy for each other, and it's at that point then that I'm like, do you know what? Maybe you're not, because this has only been a week and a half, and you've told her to get out. I don't know what Eve didn't do. But I think there was something that she didn't write or couldn't write or something, and she's like, well, so yeah, I think that's in the bin, really. Because I always say as well, once you go to one level in an argument, right, say that you don't speak for an hour or two, or you go to bed upset, or someone raises their voice, someone calls names, someone raises that, like, I think as soon as you reach certain levels in a relationship, I think it's very easy to end up back there. And I think if you've already got to the point in a week and a half, or a week and a bit, or whatever, that you are again at loggerheads where someone's having to tell you to get out of their apartment, fam, it's done. It's in the bin. It's in the bin. It's in the bin. It's in the bin. Again, I'm not laughing because it's funny, but I'm just laughing because it's just done, in it. It's just done out here. Casper and Emma, I mean, again, I've seen some tweets about them too, and I said earlier that I feel like Adam is the one I most revere, but I just thinking about it, I don't actually know whether, because Casper, if him or any of his people see this video, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, right? But the impression I get from just watching him and how he speaks about matching him here, how he ended up here with this situation, because I wanted to be happy like everyone, like the level of like disdain that he's talking with and to the experts about, I think he's a very troubled guy. And look, I get it, if someone reminds you of a family member, it seems to me like he hates his sister, right? Like at every juncture that the sister's been kind of brought up, yeah, it's almost used as a barometer of what I don't want. And I can't imagine, number one, what that must feel like for her to have to hear that and watch that on TV, to be like, your brother really can't stand you, just make that clear. But he's so angry, like he was fuming on that sofa, fuming. I think Emma spoke very eloquently and passionately, and again, my heart went out to her, because I was like, you stay confident. And I love the fact that her friends like rang in her ears to say, no, I'm not gonna let this, it's so easy, honestly, I'm trying my best to not be mean, right, but I'm not gonna let this dude, right, I'm gonna let this dude belittle my worth, even though he has a point in that, should I have lied, but no, you shouldn't have lied, but you should trust the process, and you should trust that actually that there is a wider thing here. But I already know it's not going nowhere. I mentioned Lucinda. Lucinda. I mentioned her in my last reaction. I'm like, her and Timothy, yeah, because and again they stuck it out, and week in and week out they stayed and they had some really good dates and there's a bit of me, but ultimately it didn't go nowhere because he wasn't feeling her. So, you know, this is just like a Lucinda and Timothy Mark II. He doesn't matter like what you say. He's not feeling her. He's vexed at you for putting her with him. Yeah, because he feels like he should have been looking at someone like, you know, Natalie Portman, or, you know, some really, you know, some kind of, you know, young petite English rose. You know, because he doesn't do curves. Even though, like Mel said last episode, you had your own weight journey. You had your own weight journey, and you're gonna sit here and not feel no way to be like, look, I'm so sorry, yeah, because I don't want. There was no compassion for her in that moment. It was just pure anger at being in the situation. You know, why would you why do you want to be friends with that? They're saying, you know, can we start with that? Can we, you know, for next week? And he didn't say anything. I think he's vile. I think he's absolutely vile. I really do. And I feel like Emma just needs to come off the show, because I'm sure that she will get many a date after this from actual eligible bachelors that probably don't have this weird pseudo twin energy. I feel like he just needs to go and sort that out. Go and sort that out, because you seem like a very troubled guy, bro. Like, I don't know, that energy was dark, very dark on that sofa. Nathan and Lacey, I thought they were really good. Again, I'm trying to keep this really short. I thought they were really good. I love the fact they were honest about how they were feeling. The fact that she said, you know, there were some times when he uses these short words that it makes her feel a certain way. They then reminded him about his neurodivergency and stuff, and he explained about him not always being in the room. My friend's got ADHD, and he was like, that ain't how ADHD shows up though. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it did just make me think, I wonder if he's just not that, like, I don't know, you get some really, like, high octane people, don't you, when it comes to, like, their psychology of people and stuff, and how they see people and how they interact. And I just don't know whether he's one of those people, but I don't think he needs to be, because the thing, like I said, I do things through acts of service. That's his love language, and that's really hitting for her. And that's amazing. So I'm really stoked to see where that goes. They're like best friends. So that's really cool. And then the last one to end on, I'm going to try and wrap this up and not keep this too long, is Alex and Holly. Now, I kind of went in on Alex last episode. And if I'm honest, I don't really think he did himself any favours this one either. But where I do kind of see them a little bit, if I'm honest. And I probably didn't see it as much in the last one, but he made a good point about saying, look, we're partners in this to the end. Yeah, but we've got each other's backs and stuff, and everything's solid. And then now you've got an audience, and you're going ham at me. Yeah, that makes me feel as though that actually that's untrue, and now you're trying to make me look like a bad person because you could have just taken me to one. And I think that is a really valid point. I don't think it invalidates her concerns about his behaviour, his tone, and his manner. Like she called it. You talk to him like I'm one of your boys on road. Like, there should be a difference between the person that you love and the person that you take to bed and the person that you're building a life with, or, you know, whichever one of your parties you're talking to. Like, well, I say shouldn't. I don't know him. I guess he'll do what he wants. But, like, in my opinion, you shouldn't be talking to someone like that in the same way that you just talk to any old random person. And I do get the fact as well. My friend was like, yeah, but, like, some people just, when they're done, they're done. Do you know what I mean? Like, and camera, no camera, like, I'm going to be me. And I'm not saying you can't still be you, but how can you conduct yourself like that in front of people? Like, him coming out with that ghosted comment, like Paul said, that was such an immature thing that you just said. Even if that's something that you actually would do, like, imagine putting a poster board out there to be like, I'm the kind of man that will ghost you if when I like something. If when I like something, you're done. That's not a good look at all for no one, regardless. And the other thing as well, like, and I don't know, and obviously he can't do nothing about that because that's just the way his face is set. But he just looks cantankerous. He looks cantankerous, and I don't know whether, like, he's someone that I'd want to get on the wrong side of. Like, so you know, when she's talking, when she said that, when they're like, oh, you know, do you want to deal with this? She's like, look, let's just put it to bed. I can understand her just being like, I just don't want to argue with this geezer anymore, like I'm done. And also, what I do think as well, like I do like Holly. She's obviously gone through things in her life that brought her to this point and stuff. But I do also feel as though that, like I said yesterday, like she was on this whole, you know, Polly's been violated, I've been violated, like we're Destiny's Child out here, like I'm gonna tell you about yourself, like, you know, you also are not helping this situation. I don't know why you'd want to stay with someone like that. You brought up your children so many times, and his demeanour, just from what I'm seeing on the TV, is like not something that I would need to be around. And I don't know whether there's such a physical connection for him, that she's willing to overlook all that other stuff, because to me, he made it look like it was the hardest decision in the world. Like, I don't want you to stay. I tell you what. Let me give him back the pen, yeah. Make it easy for you. Like Paul said, if everybody always wants to be right, yeah, your relationship is never going to be right. It's never going to be successful. So with your kids and and them being so important to you, what more do you need to see from someone to say, of all the billions of people on the planet, like, this person ain't the one? That's enough. That's fine. It's fine. Like, you know, I just... So yeah, between Holly writing Stay, Adam writing Stay, Casper writing Stay, I'm like, these people, like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like, you know, you've all given us as much reasons possible as to why you don't need to be here, so why are you still here? Anyway, those are my thoughts. Definitely interested in hearing other people's thoughts. Like, even just diving into Twitter, it was interesting to kind of see different people's perspectives. Like, some people got no sympathy with Holly whatsoever. Some people have got no sympathy for Polly whatsoever. I mean, in the main, most people are coming for both Casper and Adam's neck. Ones of Kieran and Christine and Ross and Sasha as well. So, oh, and I saw a few comments about Rochelle. People aren't liking Rochelle. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the next one.